my blessings, all my blessings, all my blessings, all my blessings.
I need my blessings every penny, daily counting every single one.
Welcome into the Michael Welch podcast. I got eyes on all the Christmas Day games. I hope you had a happy holiday, by the way. But I thought I'd give a few notes on the action that I was able to gather here. We had a nice slate on the books. I was able to enjoy some time with my family and then gather in games and we'll get some rewatch time in as well to cover pretty much everything. So the Bucks and Knicks clash there in Madison Square Garden, 129-122 was the final as the Knicks pulled the upset, and they just had more energy in this game, quite frankly. They led most of the way after trading buckets in the first quarter. 72-50 points in the paint for the Knicks, outscoring their way there. They shot 54% from the field. The Bucks still shot 47%, so just filling it up on both ends there. Both about 31% from the field, but the Bucks shot at a much higher volume. Giannis finished with 32 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists. They were 13 for 24 shooting. Lillard had 32 points, but 4 for 13 on 3. Part of the problem why their 3-point percentage was so low and they couldn't get a lot going for a good chunk of the game there. Middleton had 24. Lopez had 14. Portis off the bench was pretty solid, 14 points, 9 rebounds there. For the Knicks, though, Brunson, 15 of 28. 38 points. Randall had 24. Barrett had 21. Quickly had 20, doing what he does off the bench. It was a Brunson game. He was phenomenal, and just a lot more effort there on the Knicks side of things as they pull the big upset there. Giannis kind of quietly put his point run together there. Just kind of had this game on, and you see the Knicks just putting in more effort. That's all it really was there. 22-8 now, 6-6 away for the Bucks, and the Knicks slowly making their way here to a more respectable record, 8-4 at home. Kansas City Chiefs and the Raiders started about halftime of the Knicks Bucks. Raiders surprised in this one, 20-14, and this was more about the Kansas City Chiefs' complete ineptitude and a good, solid defensive effort by the Raiders, which has been coming along really there. The first quarter, the Chiefs had an offsides on offense that hurt a drive. I mean, they're constantly behind the sticks all day, but that didn't help things. But an offsides on offense, they also had too many men on defense when Las Vegas was driving in the red zone. Ultimately, they settled for a field goal, the Raiders did, so that didn't result in giving up a touchdown, but just stupid penalties, and that just went throughout the game. Just not prepared, unorganized, looked horrible. But this turned when the Raiders had 2 defensive touchdowns within 7 seconds. In the second quarter, Mahomes and the running back, I believe it was Pacheco, fumbled on the exchange, and that fell back into the end zone. They had a pick 6 on the next timeout, next throw out. Just horrible. The Raiders themselves missed a field goal, missed extra points. They ended up going for 2 on that second touchdown and getting it. So they weren't very sharp in their own right there. It was 7-3. And they had a chance to make it 7-6, but they missed that field goal. Then all of a sudden it was 17-7, their lead within that 7-second time frame. So Chiefs led for a brief second there. Casey's best offense came off a wildcat kind of look where Pacheco faked a pitch and ran it in for a touchdown. The announcer said that's like the 3rd time that's been ran in the past couple weeks. Of course, watching a lot of football, but haven't seen that play run all that often. But that was an excellent deviation from that for the touchdown. The punter also threw for a first down on a 4th and 5 for a conversion, and those were 2 of their best offensive plays. A little trickery there. Casey ended up with a field goal attempt that missed just before half. So it was really, really pathetic. Second half wasn't much better. Las Vegas added a field goal in the third. KC scored late. Patrick Mahomes scrambling was the leading rusher. He scrambled for at least 3 first downs that I saw, including a 4th down conversion on the touchdown drive late. But both offensives just horrific. KC 308 to 205 on the offensive side of things. just wild there. They were 3 for 5 on 4th down. They had to attempt that many and still couldn't get that many points. For the Raiders, though, Zamir White, the backup running back in with the injuries there, he had 145 rushing yards. Accounted for like 70+% of Las Vegas's offense, 6.6 yards per carry. And that was because they had 0 passing yards in the last 3 quarters. 0 passing yards for O'Connell. He finished with 62 overall. He had 10 straight completions at one point. I don't know how many consecutive he rattled off in the end there. They decided to just run the ball. Now, the Raiders had 4 sacks, 10 quarterback hurries accredited, 7 tackles for loss. They held Kansas City to 5 drives that were 3 plays or less, and of course the 2 defensive touchdowns. Overall, Mahomes was 27 for 44, 253 yards, 5.5 yards per attempt, a touchdown, a pick. He also had 53 rushing yards there to lead the team, like I said. Rashid Rice was his leading target. 12 targets, 6 grabs on that for 57 yards. Kelsey had 5 for 44 and 7 targets, and Taylor Swift was not very happy. Stock up or stock down for these teams? I guess that'd be a good little section to do here. Stock is obviously down for Kansas City. I mean, the defense looked problematic here. My God, goodness. I mean, holding Las Vegas to almost nothing offensively, but still, I mean, even without the offense giving up touchdowns, the Raiders would have been right in the mix here to still win this game, as pathetic as it was. And then, of course, Mahomes and the offense has been a problem the entire season. So both sides of the ball problematic at the moment. Stock up for the Raiders. They could still make the playoffs. They're not going to, but they're not out of the mix officially yet, so they have to feel real great right now and looking towards next season. And going back to Bucks-Knicks real quick, I would say stock up for the Knicks and stock about neutral. For the Bucks, can't feel great about that loss. They know they have some problems to solve there, particularly on the defensive side, and sold the ship to kind of get Dame Lillard in there. And really have to kind of figure things out. That was not a great loss, but things kind of happen. So need to figure that out. All right, moving on to the next game. We're back in the NBA. Warriors-Nuggets was about next to tip, I believe. Nuggets won that one 120-114. That's not shocking there. So the starting lineup for the Warriors, of course, now is Curry, Clay, Looney, Podziemski, and Kuminga. That's what they've been going with there, with Draymond Green out and getting Podziemski. Why don't we just call him Pod? I'll stick with Pod for now, I think, in the mix there. The Warriors had a 5-game win streak to stay just above 500 getting into this game. Of course, this knocked them back to 500. Denver had won 7 of 8 coming in. Warriors were down, I believe it was 8 early. I don't know that it quite got to double digits. Bench unit was actually what gave them the lead in the second half, with Chris Paul and some of those guys kind of doing a great job against some of the bench unit of Denver there as they kind of try to figure that out. I know that's been a storyline throughout the NBA moving forward and so far this season. Now, Curry didn't score until he hit a free throw with 5:46 left to go in the second quarter. That was part of the problem with the starters. He was 0 for 3 to start the game. Golden State had a 2-point lead at that point. Jokic only had 4 points himself at that particular moment, so it wasn't a game of superstars, really. Now, the lead was traded up until pretty much the last few minutes. Wiggins replaced Clay in the closing kind of crunch time minutes because he was playing so well as the game kind of got a couple possessions ahead for Denver. CP3 and Clay did come in for some extra shooting there in the last 90 seconds, but it was kind of out of reach there. And I'm not sure that was the smartest thing to do. Clay only had 9 points in this one. The Warriors had a chance though late. 12th, fourth quarter points for Wiggins, and he was the leading scorer. The Nuggets did shoot 41% from 3, and Murray was huge for them, 28 points on 10 for 18 shooting. Porter had 19 points and 10 rebounds. Gordon had 16 points and 10 rebounds, and they were both active early. Jokic was 4 for 12, but he hit a career-high 18th free throws on 18 attempts. Steve Kerr was upset about the officiating after the game, but, what are you going to do? 26 points overall for him on the box score, 14 rebounds, 8 assists, but really a modest game. KCP had a moment to shine in the second half where he finished with 16 points, including 4 for 9 from 3. Curry finished 3 for 13 from 3. Finished with 18 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, so it was a really difficult day for him. Saric had 13 points off the bench and hit a few threes. Kuminga, Pod, and CP3 had 13 points each, and Wiggins led with 22. So just a tough time for the Warriors. Getting contributions from a number of different guys, though. Draymond, if he can get his act together and stay on the court and be productive and not pick fights, will help with the ball movement, will help with defense. Clay just going in a corner and just dying, though, has been a problem this year, and they just need more scoring. But Podziemski has been really, really productive. Let me get his full stat line real quick here, because he was a contributor all over the floor. He was hitting big buckets late. 13 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. I believe he had 5 steals as well. 5 steals. And just really productive job for him. 4 of his rebounds were offensive. He was 4 for 7 overall from the field in 38 minutes. Only a +1 in the plus-minus, but when the rest of the roster was a lot of negatives other than the bench unit, he was the only guy in the starting lineup with a positive plus-minus. So Warriors staying in it despite the fact that they have a lot of problems. Stock right now, I would say, is not great, but it hasn't been great all year. So I say it's about neutral, considering how things have been going, which is down. And for the Nuggets, to allow them to kind of hang around, we know the bench has had some problems. I'd say stock's about down, quite frankly. This was not the best performance. They should have been able to blow the hell out of the Warriors. This was not the most productive game. Jokic got to the line. They saw a little bit of production from some of their guys, but it was just not a real great night. I know the NBA's got some parity in it, but to shut Clay and Curry down for the most part and still have this be such a close ball game at home was not the best showing, I don't think. But 22-10 now is their record, and they'll figure it out, you would hope. Moving on now, we have Eagles and Giants. The Eagles survive 33-25. I shouldn't say survive. A late score for the Giants made this closer than it really was. So it started out, Giants 3-and-out. The Eagles returned the punt to the 13-yard line. So they had basically a gimme score, whether it was a field goal or a touchdown. They did convert into 7, so it was really easy. The next drive, they stalled on a 4th and goal. And drive 3, they got on the 48 after the Giants shanked a punt. So they scored 17 points and were up 17-3 early. They sure tried to help the Giants score in the second quarter. Dumb penalty allowed them to keep a drive going, and they still couldn't convert a couple of 4th downs to keep things going. But the Giants' offense was just really pathetic. I'm not sure the Eagles did anything particularly special on either side of the football that I found of note, but that's been part of the problem. And they had an opportunity to score then before the half. Jalen Hurts staying in bounds on a questionable play in the red zone. Perhaps if he'd stayed or gone out of bounds, he would have had an opportunity to take another shot at the end zone. But stays in bounds. The clock would have run out, and they would have missed an opportunity for at least a field goal because they did not have a timeout. But a penalty is called on the Giants, a really dumb penalty on the Giants. And so time stops. They get the field goal team in. They kick a field goal to make it 20-3 before half. So just lots of problems with the Giants, just allowing the Eagles to get easy points there. And the Eagles then to start the second half run into each other on a kickoff. Boston Scott and Zakas, the tight end, causing a fumble right to the Giants, and Tyrod Taylor comes in at quarterback. A little bit shocking there to relieve our Tommy DeVito there. A little bit shocking. It's funny to see online some of the folks that received DeVito jerseys, unfortunately, only to see him benched in the Christmas Day game. So that is kind of funny and terribly unfortunate. But Tyrod Taylor comes in. He does not look good throwing the remainder of the game, but he's able to scramble around a little bit and add something in that particular instance, that dimension for the Giants. But they're able to get a couple scores on the board there. We trade a couple scores back and forth. Eagles are able to get a couple more field goals on, basically. Giants hit one big play to Slayton, where the Eagles just get lost on defense, and that came late in the game for them to kind of pull it a little bit closer. But really, the Eagles just built that lead early, and just able to survive. The Eagles actually have 4 fumbles in this game, but are only punished with 1 turnover. So that's worth noting there. Number of 4th down conversions the Giants have to go for here, and the drive ends on a couple of misses there. So I got all kinds of notes on this one, but the point is the Eagles built a lead early off of New York turnovers and punt problems and penalties, and were able to ride it to a victory. Stock is really down for both of these teams, though. It's not a good showing for New York. Questionable at quarterback now. And I don't know what the Eagles are going to do. Limp into the playoffs and maybe lose in the first round. They just look bad right now. Easy to diagnose their plays is the big criticism that I'm seeing, and just problematic all over the place for both of these teams. So let's move on. Celtics, Lakers. Celtics win this one 126-115. Now, Celtics opened on a 12-0 run. Brown, Tatum, Porzingis haven't played that many games together. I don't have the exact number here, but they started together, and man, are they great when they have everyone ready to roll here. Porzingis was a handful defensively to start, but Anthony Davis eventually got his spots figured out and fueled a 9-0 run to finish the first. He had 13 points and 6 rebounds in the first frame there, and the Celtics led 32-23 after one. The Lakers don't hit a lot of threes, so it was important to kind of get him going in that interior play on both sides of the court. Quinta, the first NBA player from Portugal, played a few games before this one. He's on a 2-way with the Celtics. He got a few minutes early at center when they were resting Horford for the Celtics there. So just worth noting that, playing on Christmas Day. But the Celtics were up as many as 18 on the Lakers before half, and the Lakers were able to cut it all the way back down to 1 point, thanks to Anthony Davis there. Overall, 65% from 2 and 29% from 3 at the half for Boston, as the Lakers were really outpacing them in their efficiency. After a few good stints there, again, Celtics building up a couple runs, and the Lakers starting to rebound and go on runs at the end of both the first and second quarter. Brown was questionable after colliding with LeBron James in the second quarter and leaving, but he was able to come back in the second. Lakers were 49% overall from the field and better from 3, almost 50% at a more conservative volume. So Celtics forced quite a few turnovers in the first half and were able to score off of them, and those numbers came way down in the second as the Lakers were a little bit more protective in that particular aspect. Now, the starters for the Celtics did come in and build a lead against LeBron, Davis, and Tyrion Prince, who had a great offensive game. Reeves also came alive a bit in the third quarter, but it was just too much going into the back half of the game for the Lakers overall. That starting lineup of the Celtics is just too much. Again, too many turnovers overall in the game, too many points in the paint, fast break points. They did shoot 40% from 3, though. Were more efficient than the Celtics, which is surprising. Anthony Davis finished with 40 points, 13 rebounds. Tyrion Prince had 5 threes, finished with 17 points, 16 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists for LeBron, 11 for Reeves. Porzingis had 28 points, 11 rebounds. White had 18 points, 11 assists. Those are the 2 most productive players, as White in the second half and especially got going and finding open guys and hitting big baskets. Tatum did not shoot well, but finished with 25 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. 19 for Brown, 18, 7 and 7 for Holiday. Hachimura took quite a few shots, 5 for 14. He was bad for the Lakers. I forgot to mention him in there. And the Celtics just put this away in the fourth quarter pretty easily, just able to wield off the Lakers. And that starting lineup is just better than what the Lakers are able to put up right now. It's also the second game for D'Lo coming off the bench. And there's trade rumors, of course, surrounding him and maybe someone else getting packaged to move off the team as they start to thin out who they want in that rotation, who they need. Cam Reddish only played, I don't have the minutes in front of me at the moment, but played fewer minutes, so maybe he's fallen out of favor there with Prince kind of playing a better role there. I don't know that he's going to be moved, but as they're starting to tighten up that lineup and realize that they're maybe a step or two away from the championship, they're going to possibly move some guys and bring someone else in to kind of move them over the hump, and that would be fun to see. I have all kinds of notes on 49ers Ravens, but this just turned into a blowout, so I'm not sure a whole lot's relevant. 33-19 was the final. The Niners had more yards, but the Ravens didn't have to do a whole lot when Brock Purdy turns the ball over 4 times, and there's 5 overall turnovers for the 49ers, and the Ravens play a clean game. It was it was wild early. I mean, Ravens had a 3-and-out. 49ers hit 2 big plays to Kittle to move into the red zone. Then Purdy threw his first pick right there in the end zone. 2 plays later, Lamar Jackson is tackled for a safety after he backs up into the end zone and trips over an umpire who slipped down himself. So they get tangled. And then it's 2-0 San Francisco. The Ravens are able to stop the 49ers on a 4th and 1 after the punt. And they get called for dumb penalties. The Niners come back and kick a field goal, so it's 5-0 Niners early. The Ravens' first touchdown comes in assistance from, I believe, 25 penalty yards. There are 2 big penalties by the 49ers that help get them in position, and the Ravens get a field goal their first time down, so that's the first score. But it's thanks to some dumb San Francisco penalties there. We then get back-to-back 49er possessions that end with deflected passes getting intercepted. So that's that was pretty wild for everyone watching. Baltimore's able to get another one touchdown off of that, and it just kind of gets crazy. So I don't have a lot of notes after that. Christian McCaffrey probably didn't get the ball enough, but he breaks a big 42-yard run, follows up with a touchdown drive later after they're already down multiple possessions. A big Lamar run keeps the offense alive for a field goal before the half to make it 16-12. So it's very much still a game at that point. But Purdy throws pick 4 after his arm is hit in the third quarter. Ravens cash in on a touchdown there. It's noted in the broadcast that is their 3rd possession. They've only got 1 touchdown. But at that point, after the conversion, they're 2 for 3. The next offensive possession for San Francisco, it's nearly another pick, and there's 2 or 3 times throughout the rest of the game. Ball is juggled by Samuel, who's thrown the ball, almost picked off again. Turns out to be a drop, but the Ravens are able to hold an 18-point lead in the third quarter and stop a 4th down conversion attempt by the 49ers. They're not able to cash in on a whole lot in the second half, but they don't really need to either. And this is just kind of how the game goes. Too many turnovers by Purdy. The defense really gets after him, but also there's 3 deflections that turn into turnovers in this game. And once that happens, it starts to get into your head and get into the receiver's head. They also lost 2, maybe 3 offensive linemen. I started to lose count and started to lose focus as the basketball games are starting to get a little bit more exciting than this game was, which was really a bummer. But not Trenton Wilson, all my names. Trenton, the top offensive tackle was hurt. Then his backup was hurt. I thought the center was hurt at one point. Maybe we lost 3 tackles in this game, but that's going to be problematic moving forward. San Francisco finished with 5 turnovers. They outgained the Ravens 429 to 343. McCaffrey had 131 yards on offense. Ayuk went over 100 yards. Kittle went over 100 yards. The 49ers offense went after Lamar quite a bit, but he's a video game. can be tough to take down. But for the Ravens, they had 4 sacks, 5 tackles for losses, 11 passes defended, 9 QB hits. Zay Flowers was the top receiving target, 9 grabs on 13 catches for 72 yards and a touchdown. He was the nice little blanket there for Mr. Lamar Jackson, and they looked pretty good. But they were also the benefit of just one of those games where the bounces went their way. So stock up for the Ravens to be able to go into on the road there and win this game. But, if this was a rematch, things certainly wouldn't go this way again. So you'd probably be back on about level playing field. I would assume they'd be underdogs on a neutral field. And stock down for San Francisco, suffering multiple injuries. And you have to hope that Brock Purdy can get back on track here. He's still only started like 20 career games at this point. So you wouldn't expect him to do this again. But, man, what a tough game. And they weren't just horrible picks. The first one was bad, but several deflections, so hopefully this is an anomaly. But stock down for right now, because that was just a really disappointing go at home there. All right, next up we had the Miami Heat and the 76ers. Miami survives 119-113, and this was still a game close. This was the 16th different starting lineup for the Miami Heat, which is the highest in the NBA, and we're less than 30 games in for most teams, so that is just insane. Nevertheless, Lowry, Hero, Jaquez, Martin, and Bam Adebayo was the starting lineup there. No Jimmy Butler due to injury, and no Embiid either for the 76ers. Paul Reed started again in his spot. And Philly was up early, but the Heat go on a 22-1 run thanks to the defense. 22-1 run. The 76ers went 0 for 16 during that span of 9 minutes shooting field goals, according to my count, but I had to keep scribbling out numbers and putting it up as the shots were missing and the numbers were missing, and even the broadcast started to lose track. So it was insane, absolutely insane. No Embiid really screwed him up, and Tyrese Maxey was not hitting early. Tobias Harris hit a few shots, obviously not in that span, but in the first half to carry him. Reed picked up his 3rd foul also in the first half, in the top of the second, but that didn't, prove too problematic later on, thankfully. Miami was up 10 with 9 minutes left in the second quarter, so they were able to build themselves a nice lead, but Philly wasn't completely out of it yet. Mo Bamba was surprising. 10 points in the second, including 2 3-pointers for the 76ers. He wasn't exactly getting guarded that far out. Maxey, 0 first half points, I believe. I think he hit a bucket in there late. Hero and Jaquez are hot in the first half as well. And the lead hit 17 at one point. Hero had 16, Jaquez and Bam at 14 each at the half. And that's just it. They're hitting, and the 76ers are not. The lead goes all the way up to 21 in the third quarter before Maxey scores his very first points. And Philly switches to a zone defense, which has mixed results, really. Really, the Heat start to hit, fewer shots. They take some questionable attempts. Aren't as open, and the 76ers start to hit a few buckets, including another Mo Bamba 3, and they start to rally, and they start to hit some buckets. That's how it goes in the NBA now. You can hit a few threes, and your opponent misses a few buckets, and all of a sudden you turn on these 20-point runs in the other direction. So in the fourth quarter, the Heat go back to Jaquez Jr., and Duncan Robinson hits a few big threes, and they're able to kind of pull away there in the last 4 minutes. But the 76ers get the lead all the way back down and are able to hang in there at the very end. So this cut the lead back down thanks to Maxey hitting a few shots and some stuff finally going down for him. And at the end, it hurts them again because they take some more bad shots, and that's really it. That's the difference. A couple big threes by Duncan Robinson, and just some variance in shooting there is all you can really say. You can mark it up to defensive scheming, stuff like that, but it really turns into a frenzy into the last few minutes of this game. Miami did have 20 more rebounds. That was one of the clear definitive edges there. Bam had 15 rebounds, 5 assists. Hero had 22 points on 8 of 25 shooting. He got hot for a little while there and then just kind of disappeared, but That's one of the problems that he has. 16 for Duncan, 12 for Lowry. Jaquez has 31 points on 11 for 15 shooting, 10 rebounds. Career game for him. 76ers, Harris has 27 points and 7 rebounds. Oubre has 25 points and 7 rebounds. Mo Bamba, 18 points on 7 for 8 shooting. Maxey, 4 for 20, 1 from 8 from 3 for 12 points. Melton, 5 for 17, 2 of not a good number from 3 for 15 points. I can't read my own writing. Not good at all. Just missing a couple key starters there, and you get some weird results for some of these. But Jaquez looking awesome for the Miami Heat there. And finally, Dallas and Phoenix. Dallas wins this one 128-114. Another game where it was very kind of back and forth here. Phoenix was sitting at 500. Dallas obviously playing without Kyrie Irving. They are now 18-12 after this win. I believe they're 5th in the West, and the Suns are 11th or 12th. They are having some problems. Luka, Dante Exum, the resurgence of his career has been great. Hardaway Jr., Derek Jones Jr., and Derek Lively, the phenomenal rookie, the starting lineup there for Dallas. And Phoenix playing Booker, Eric Gordon, Grayson Allen, and Drew Eubanks with Kevin Durant there. Of course, no, what's his name? The other guy they traded for who's played a total of like 20 minutes. Bradley Beal. Played 24 minutes total with Durant and Booker at this particular point. Luka had 17 points in the first quarter, 5 for 6 shooting as they built a double-digit lead. Booker starts 1 for 5. Durant is just swarmed all over the place as Booker and Durant play together in the first, and then Booker sits out to start the second there and kind of staggers the top scorers there. Now, Shimizi Metu had 10 points on 4 for 4 shooting early and 7 rebounds, and he was one of the leading scorers for the team. The former USC Trojan there was very productive. The Suns were able to fight and take the lead way out in the third quarter thanks to Metu and Grayson Allen, who led the team in shot attempts. He was 12 for 22, 8 for 17 from 3, finished with 32 points. Metu was 9 for 18 for 23 points and 19 rebounds. It was his first career double-double. Things got testy in the third quarter as we saw Booker and Grant Williams get into a scuffle there. Not a lot became of that particular thing, but we know that Luka can get a little wordy. We know that Grant Williams can get there. They get that embodiment from their leader, but those two certainly have that personality. And Devin Booker can get in a few scuffles as well. Durant was arguing with the refs early, felt like he should have been received some more foul calls. Dallas finished the game on a 32-14 run in the fourth. They held the Suns to 4 points in the last 5 minutes. Kevin Durant finished 4 for 11, had 11 points, 16 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Booker was 6 for 14, 20 points, 10 assists, and just not shooting enough, quite frankly. Problems getting swarmed defensively, bringing help defenders over. And that's one of the problems that they're having. That's why they now have a losing record. Luka just exploded. 50 points. That's what you want from a star player on Christmas Day. 15 for 25, 8 for 16 from 3, 14 assists, 6 rebounds. Lively at a 20 and 10. Derek Jones Jr. at 23. Hardaway at 18. And they just exploded at the end of this game. Not a lot defensively that the Suns were throwing at them. And this was just a big game for Luka. That's what you want. 50 points on Christmas Day. Because other than that, you had Giannis, who finished 32 and 13 in a loss. Brunson had a whopping 38 points for the Knicks. And Anthony Davis was the only other one that had, a big game, 40 points from a star there. Jaquez, if he turns into a star, we'll look back on his 31 and 10 game. But other than that, Tobias Harris with 27 for the Sixers, the Warriors. So, not as exciting keynote, superstar, big performance, big win, stars align type of thing this particular Christmas. But I think those are all the notes I have. That's clearing out the notebook. Yeah. So stock up for the Mavericks, who continue to win without Kyrie, and stock down for the Suns, who, like some of these other teams that you'd like to see competing, like the Warriors and the Lakers for a championship, that really need to figure some things out to compete with some of the better looking squads right now. And some of the surprising teams like the Mavericks and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So a lot left to go in the NBA season. Good Christmas Day. We got more games going on the rest of the week. The full slate will be opening back up again, and we're heading into the home stretch here of the NFL, obviously. So thanks for tuning in. Talk to you later.
All my blessings, all my blessings, all my blessings, all my blessings.
I need my blessings every penny. Daily counting every single one, I'm seeing plenty. Level up and watch that beat turn into a